that energy, that fire of I'm here to conquer the world. You can conquer the world in love, dude.
Yeah. This is Unprocessed. Today we have my friend Eben Britton. Eben is a former NFL player who's gone from protecting his quarterback to inspiring thousands to live well and in their truth. He's here to share how we can cultivate peace and flow no matter what life throws at us. We're talking Viking lineage, what it really means to be a man, and how to stop just dreaming about the life you want and actually start living it. Head to the link in the description and subscribe to my Substack community where we explore eating well and living well in this amazing world. Stick around. You're not going to want to miss this one. All right, guys. Eben Britton, welcome to Unprocessed.
Dude, super glad to be here. Honored to be the first guest, man.
I'm so honored to have you, man. And I got to be honest, where I'm at in life right now, I think it's really cool that you're the first guest because there's kind of some backstory that I wanted to fill the listener in.
Yeah.
So why this makes sense for me. So I met you 3 years ago now.
Crazy.
In Idaho.
Yeah.
And you show up and you're this like larger than life, like giant among men, you know? And I think, generally the last few years of my life as a young dad, and definitely a few years ago, I'm just like not embodying that energy, like feeling like I got my shit together, feeling like I've got life, feeling like I've got a grip on finances, on kids, on work and all that, right? And your energy I found like challenging. I found it really hard to be myself with you. Fast forward a few years later, we're friends now. I kind of feel like I'm on that hamster wheel still. And I'm looking at my own life and also looking at the world around me, feeling like we're kind of all on this hamster wheel, or a lot of us are. A lot of us share that belief. And so what I shared on the intro, episode to this pod and kind of, queuing it up was this feeling like I'm not the only one that feels like there's got to be a better way here, right? And this podcast is a long time coming because I am just yearning to kind of process, where we're at in the world, where we came from, where we're at, and where we're going, right? I'm really lit up around food and kind of exploring life through the lens of food, through how we feed kids, through how we feed each other. But really, that's almost symbolic with like how we receive nourishment and how we're enjoying this life, how we're living this life, right? In a time that I really feel like is awkward for humans. It's 2026. And I'm not sure many of us kind of like know how to walk this life as men, as women, as, human beings. So you're an interesting character. You've had a really fascinating life so far, and I feel like you're just getting going.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your adventures into the NFL, being an offensive lineman, and maybe cue it off there, which is a very unique human experience. And then coming out of that and kind of like coming back into normie land and living your life.
Yeah. Man, so good. Your intro is so good. First, I want to say to you, dude, that watching how you show up as a husband and a father and a businessman, an entrepreneur, a creator is just like, I don't think there's anything more you could do as a man than what you're already doing. From what I've seen, and as I've gotten to know you and witnessing that. So, I know it doesn't always feel that way, but I think you're doing an incredible job on all fronts. And just as a little external validation for you, man, because I really see it. I see you doing it. And it's inspiring for me. So that being said, my life into football, it was my dream from the time I was a really little kid, probably 9 years old. I was at my grandparents' house in Connecticut. It was the summertime. I was watching the news and the Jets and the Giants came on in training camp. And I just watched these gladiators doing these drills and hitting each other. And I thought to myself, that's what I want to do. That's who I want to be when I grow up. And it wasn't until my freshman year of high school that my mom let me play football. She was always worried I'd get hurt, even though I was always the biggest kid in my class. Finally, my freshman year of high school, with the help of my dad, convinced my mom to let me play football, and it was just like a rocket ship to the moon, dude. Like, everything I did, how I breathed, how I walked, how I talked, how I ate, how I moved, was all in alignment of achieving this dream of playing in the NFL one day. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I was in 7th grade. My mom got me hooked up with this trainer, this strength coach. We'd be running sprints at the park till I literally puked. And I'm 12 years old
Mm.
doing these workouts. But that really set me up for what it took. So very early on, I was just trained as a warrior, like getting myself ready for battle. And stepped on the football field for the first time as a freshman in high school and just like understood the game. I knew how to play. I knew how to do it. I had a ton of rage in my heart, you know. Come from a family that's heavily influenced, talking about lineage and ancestry, a lot of alcoholism,
Mhm.
a big conundrum of self-worth and shame and guilt
Mhm.
that, we can talk about where through my own study of my family tree, I've come to recognize that probably comes from. But so getting to play football, getting to be celebrated for being the most violent person on the field,
Mhm.
it was everything I needed to exercise these demons, to start my own process of healing and reconciliation.
Mhm.
And I was really good at it. I was physically gifted, obviously. Loved playing, loved working hard. I loved being able to pour myself into this thing in the pursuit of achieving this dream. High school, I was team captain, started getting scholarship offers from just about every school in the country, university, and chose the University of Arizona because they had creative writing as a major, which, I have this interesting blend of athletes and artists. And I think around my sophomore year of high school, I fell in love with storytelling, particularly through this guy, Bret Easton Ellis's books. Have you ever read any
No.
Bret Easton Ellis?
No.
American Psycho,
Oh,
Rules
yeah.
of Attraction, like very nouveau dark fiction, you know? A lot about like college kids and drugs, sex and shit that as a teenage boy, you're just like,
Mhm.
hell yeah, dude. It really
Of course.
spoke to me.
Yeah.
So I thought, I love storytelling. Is there a way in college I could follow that path academically? Because I knew I'm going to the NFL. That's what I'm going to do. But can I feed this undercurrent of my artistry
Mhm.
at the same time? And so University of Arizona is one of the best creative writing programs in the country, maybe in the world. They were probably the only school that offered me a scholarship that had a specific creative writing major. So I was like, that's it. Love the coaches. Tucson, the desert really spoke to me. So that's where I went. I redshirted my freshman year. The next 3 years started team captain, All American, all the honors. In 2009, went into the NFL draft, was drafted 39th overall in the second round by the Jacksonville
Wow.
Jaguars. I'm 21, going into the NFL, first season in the league. Earn the starting job week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts, starting at right tackle. Have a fantastic rookie year, start dealing with some injuries after my rookie year, ruptured disc in my back, dislocated shoulder, back surgery, shoulder
Mm.
surgery, grind it out for 6 years.
Mhm.
A lot of pain, a lot of managing, like doing anything and everything I could to keep myself upright,
Mhm.
which meant like just about any drug I could get my hands on, alcohol, a lot of self-medicating
Yeah.
through various means. But I'm also living this dream. So it's this interesting, I'm in this interesting conundrum of I'm living my dream. I'm doing this thing that I've always wanted to do. I'm making tons of money, more money than anybody in my family had ever made. With that, I'm taking care of my entire family.
Mm,
I'm my girlfriend at the time got her pregnant going into my second year in the league, which was such an incredible experience and blessing, obviously. But like at 22, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on here? And so have our daughter, then married a few years later. I'm just like doing whatever I can to keep myself together on the football field. I ended up playing 6 years, which was a hell of an accomplishment. I always wanted to play 10, but my body just didn't have
mhm,
it.
yeah,
So long story short, I come out of my NFL career at 28 and I'm totally shattered mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I have to go on this long, slow journey of putting myself back together again,
mm,
and that came in many forms. First it was really addressing my body. I left the NFL at about 330 pounds,
mm. What do you weigh now?
265.
Jesus.
And so it was like I always wanted to be ripped and, have an incredible a body that I was like super proud of. So that was the first layer of putting myself back together again in life after football, and I did that. But then I realized pretty quickly, I'd gotten my physical body in order, but my heart and my mind were just still a mess,
Yeah, yeah.
like so much chaos, so much undealt with trauma and stuff, and
Mhm, mhm,
so much I needed to look at.
yeah,
And I remember it was a day or maybe a handful of days in a row where I thought to myself, man, I can't spend enough time at the gym. Like 2 hours in the gym doesn't quell this hole in my heart.
mhm, mm,
Porn isn't doing it. I can't drink enough alcohol. I can't smoke enough weed. There's nothing in the world. None of the escape valves are working anymore.
yeah,
And I have to start looking at this thing. And I was totally brought to my knees. And I found Al-Anon, which is 12-step program for the families of alcoholics.
mm,
And I went to a men's meeting, funny enough. It was all men in there, and the first speaker started talking about his childhood and everything he dealt with and how he managed the environment that he was in, and it sounded like he was telling my story, and I just burst into tears.
yeah,
And it felt like the first time in my life that I was able to take a deep breath. And that was really the beginning of everything that I am now, was starting to look, underneath the hood and going, "What's going on here?"
yeah,
Like the state that I'm in right now isn't actually about anything that's going on right now,
yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah,
So what is it about? And really starting to get clear on like, what are the things that I've been through in my life or that my parents have been through in their life, the culture that I was brought up in, and how does that affect how I perceive my life in the world today,
yeah.
in this moment? And I mean, honestly, it's a good place to kind of pause because that's where I find myself in this very moment.
Well, I love that because it brings me to this idea that I'll never forget. I went to a functional medicine doctor when I was going through some stuff. This
Mhm.
was as a young dad when I started to get these bizarre bodily symptoms, like my head on like one side. Like one day I thought I was having a stroke, literally.
Christ.
Um, but I had a really different relationship with, symptoms that arose in my body, right? I was just looking for like the fix at the time.
Mm,
I had a very different relationship to kind of, I guess, fast forward, I would say honoring, whatever's coming up and just looking at what shifts I may have to make in my life or just to just chill for a second and like let stuff move through my body.
mm,
Anyways, so I get to the doctor's office and he draws a line on the dry erase board, just a line, and he puts a dot in the middle and a dot at the beginning and dot in the end. And the dot in the middle, he writes, "You are here." So I love your intro is perfect for this because it's literally that line.
mm,
And what you're describing manifesting in your life and the shit that is coming up post NFL sounds like stuff that you inherited. Either inherited or that your parents inherited and didn't process what they needed to process so that they weren't passing it on to you.
Yeah.
And I think that is such a common story
Oh, yeah.
because you weren't initiated as a man. You didn't know how to deal with your problems, right? You didn't
Yeah.
know how to deal with anything in life, right? You were
Yeah.
just kind of like, this is life. You do your best, right?
Yeah.
But it sounds like, and I know you're making the shift in your line, in your lineage, that God knows that it's not just even your grandparents. Like God knows how deep back you were talking about your Viking heritage the other day,
Yeah.
like how long down the line you are touched by, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But on the exciting side, does that mean that your decisions and how you show up in life right now and choose your path, does that mean potentially that could show up 1,000 years down your line? Like that's beautiful.
Definitely.
So where are you at now? What's your version of that dot and the you are here?
Yeah. Well, to start, I mean, I've never been so excited about my life and inspired than I am right now. And what I'm so excited about is this. I feel like I've really come to grasp the process of expansion, which for me is all about my commitment to changing my paradigm. And my paradigm is essentially my belief matrix, all the things that I've been cultured in through my family, my parents, my teachers, the society, the environments I've grown up in, that belief matrix and how that affects how I perceive my life, myself, what I'm capable of, my relationship with money, my body, potential, what I deserve, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I've been on this track before. You know, it's been this the concepts have been here since I left the NFL, probably before I left the NFL. You know, they've been here throughout my life, but I find myself in a place where I've reconciled and come to terms with enough of my with what I would call the inciting traumas of my life.
Mhm.
Sexual abuse at 8, you know, my family disease of alcoholism, these things that have literally been the axis point of every decision I've ever made, every thought I've ever thunk, all of it.
Mhm.
To the point where I find myself, where I found myself in the last few weeks is going, you know, the habits, the behaviors that I'm acting out are really at this point by my choice
Yeah.
because I know the shit that is the context for it all.
Mhm.
I understand it and I've come to terms with it. You know, I've shed those tears, dude. Like, spent days in tears for the boy who, for that innocent, sweet boy who was fucking in so much pain and suffering and
Mhm.
just cloaked in shame. You know,
Yeah.
like I've done it. So anything that I perceive right now in my life as not working for me is is literally a choice that I'm making, that I'm continuing to make. And so, you know, I had, for instance, I had this right now, a big thing for me, dude. I mean, you know, talking about the hamster wheel, I don't know if it's really that's a way to that we can that's one way to define it.
Mhm.
But I think that's also what life is, dude.
Yeah.
It's a flow, it's a river. It's never
Yeah.
we're never gonna get to a place where it's like, ah, we're cool now. You
Mhm. Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
There will be something, you know? Like as a dad, I have a 14-year-old. You got your beautiful boys, dude. You're in a really fun period. Having a 14-year-old's like, holy shit, how'd we get here? But it's really fun also. It's like, it's a really fun thing. I'd like to also have more kids. So I'll be right back there and you can be reminding me like, yeah, this is what a 3-year-old's like, brother. This is what a 9-year-old's like, brother. You know? But, you know, so I think recognizing, and I mean, I'm the same. I'm speaking to myself here because my life is so crazy at the moment. You know, I made this decision. I had to get out of LA for my own well being. I couldn't function as the husband, the father that I want to be if I had stayed there. Just wasn't a possibility. Like my soul was just dying for expansion,
Mm.
needed to move, needed to get out of there. So I made the really difficult decision of moving out of LA and coming to Austin, Texas. We live a little bit outside of Austin on 5 acres out in the country, which we'll talk more about, which has been the most incredible, fruitful experience of my life. And it was really, it was one of those God shot moments, decisions that I had to make for myself, because it was making a decision truly for my own well being, which I don't think I'd ever done before in my entire life. And it was going against the grain of the outside notion of what's right and good. And I've made a commitment to show up for my daughter who lives with her mom in LA. I'm back and forth a lot. I don't have much.
Yeah.
There's not much of an anchor. The only anchor I can really ground myself on is my own inner peace, like my own inner stillness, the stillness that exists inside of here. Like when we did those few breaths before we hopped in the pod, that place, like that's the only anchor I've got right
Yeah.
now. And that's okay. Because in order to live the life I want to live and do the things I want to do, that's what I've got to do right now. I can't really go, you know what, I'll be better
Yeah.
when I don't have to go back and forth or whatever it is.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
To kind of lean into that idea, because what you just said in terms of I'll do that when, I feel like is where a lot of people get tripped. I get
yeah,
tripped up into in my
totally,
own
man.
psyche. It's like I'll meditate tomorrow at different times in my life, or I'll
Yeah,
go to the gym tomorrow.
yeah,
I'll get my bod back,
yeah,
and then fast forward and you've got kids that are like my son that's 9 years old. And I promised myself before I had kids, I remember training with my older brother, right? And I remember I was in really great shape, and he had kids. And at the time, he would have told me, even though he was in fine shape, like I've just kind of like let myself go, right?
yeah,
And I looked at him like, I'll never do that. I'll never be that dad that doesn't go to the gym. And okay, I'm in okay shape, but I don't feel the way that what I thought I knew I would do, right?
mm,
And I'm not the guy I thought I knew I would be, right? Because very often I'd be in that energy. And I think, and this is not my excuse, although it is my observation, I think it's hard where we're at in the world, where the natural environment and the natural rhythms don't really create our wellness the way that I think they used to, right? If you're a homesteader and you're out there, like literally, like, you
tending the land.
tending the land, you're using your own physical exertion, or prior to that, you were nomadic and you were literally traversing terrain or whatever.
Yeah,
Like you use your physical body, which is still intact in large parts of the world,
yeah,
right? Circadian rhythm, like the sun coming up and going down before the advent of these lights,
yeah.
the ceiling, the
Phones.
ceilings, the walls, the screens, right? You
Yeah,
could argue they create modern challenges for us to be human.
no doubt.
So when you talk about managing your inner stillness, you wrote a book
Yeah,
that I think distills, a simple approach
yeah,
that people can do, even though that simple can be so elusive
yeah,
for people. So what has been your path to kind of move through and move the needle from what is so absurdly simple, right? Between the doing versus the not.
yeah. It's a great question. I think for me, it's really what comes up in my mind is know thyself. Like, really get to know yourself, dude. For me, I'm a maniac if I don't get a workout in. If I don't sweat my ass off every day, if not 6 days a week, I'm a fucking lunatic. Like, I can't bear to be around me, you know? So I'm like, okay, I got to get my workout in. Meditation has transformed my relationship with myself. I've been meditating every day for the last, let's see, since probably 2016. So 10 years now. Changed my life.
And what does that look like for you?
That looks like, I mean, that's taken many forms. and this is something that I want to get to is I've been a fucking disciplinarian in my life. Like coming out of my football career as an athlete, everything was discipline. You're here at this time, you do it this thing at this time, non-negotiable. You show up when you don't want to. You know, it was funny. My daughter's playing club volleyball and she had a tournament 2 weekends ago that her mom took her to. And of course, it's like wake up the day of travel to fly to Reno and she's feeling sick. It's like, oh God, you know, it's a bummer. But I'm thinking, man, I can't even tell you how many times day before a game I've got like an insane flu. And either a doctor has to come to my house or my hotel room and hit me with an IV, or I'm just getting pumped full of meds. And then the next day I'm starting in the game, come out, throwing up in trash cans, going back into the game. Like it just wasn't even a thing,
Yeah.
you know? So I applied that same discipline to my spiritual life, my spiritual practices when I hit that complete rock bottom. And I was like, I got to change. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do 20 minutes of meditation, which for me has taken many forms. The primary form when I really started going was just sitting, closing my eyes, following my breath in and out, set a timer, go for it. You know, getting to a place where I was on my knees and just surrendered to anything that would help. And a therapist going, hey, you should try meditating. And I was like, fine. I'll do it. And then she recommended an app that I started doing these walking, like listening meditations that gave me that taste,
Yeah.
you know? It's taken many forms. So, you know, it used to look like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, doing 20 minutes of meditation before everybody was up, doing breath work, doing a little yoga flow, 20 to 30 minutes, and then I'm into my day. Everybody's waking up. I'm making my coffee, taking my daughter to school. Sometime during the day, I'm going to go and get hour and a half, 2 hour lift in. Don't do that anymore because that's like just, you know, that's overkill. You
Mm.
know, and that's taken me a long time to get to a place where I recognize that. Food is a vital part of how I eat, when I eat, super vital part of that sense of well-being. You know, I got to keep it very low carb. We were talking about this a little bit, but I have this unofficially diagnosed autoimmune issue, which is a thyroid issue, where if I eat gluten of any kind more than once in a blue moon, I'm in a depressed state, mental fog, body hurts, inflamed,
Yeah.
terrible way of being.
Did you know about that when you were playing?
It was super clear to me. Like looking back, I think I talked about it in my book, but I remember when I was a kid, you know, my dad would make pancakes on Saturday morning. And I remember eating the pancakes and I'd want to go to sleep right
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
you know? So it's like, oh, it was always there. But if I ate eggs and bacon and some avocado, I felt like I could go conquer the world, you know? So just listening to that, learning how to listen. It's been a huge part of my process too, you know, learning how to listen. So, you know, making sure I get a good sweat in most days, if not every day, doing my meditation because grounding in that stillness and that quiet helps me not become a total slave to the insanity that
Mhm.
moves through my head. Breath work has become kind of like a cheat code shortcut when it comes to mindfulness because it can generate that inner sense of calm without having to kind of deal with the mental machinations of fuck, when's this gonna end? When is
Yeah.
this gonna oh, let me come back to the breath. You know, you're just doing an exercise that generates the feeling. So breath work has also been immensely impactful for me. Yoga, coming back to my yoga roots. So my mom was taking me to yoga from the time I was 10 years old. So it's like such a blessing that I had that tool and
Yeah.
you know, in the toolbox. which I got disconnected from during my football career, but came back during that time of, like, needing to put myself back together again.
And that's been a big part of your offerings,
Yeah,
right? Right?
yeah.
So talk about that because I kind of laugh a little bit. Like you're a massive Viking NFL football player teaching yoga, and that's a fascinating look right there. But that's also this beautiful definition of you.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that's you.
yeah.
It's really this divine masculine and feminine that just works really well for you.
Thanks, brother. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to your point, I was teaching yoga a Soho House in Malibu. I got connected with the woman who ran their wellness programming, and she was like, "You wanna come teach a class once a week?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." It's like a super cool place. Had a totally devoted community of students. Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. in Malibu, teaching, 15 people who loved it. And one day I show up and there's a woman there who had never been there before, I've never seen. And I'm like, all right, guys, we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes. She goes, "You're our teacher?" And I got kind of pissed off. I was like, fuck you, dude. Yeah, I'm the teacher. And then after the class, she was like, that was a great class. Yeah, I mean, yoga is like, it's one of my gifts. I come in this like alpha male package, but there's a real feminine spirit in here that I'm not afraid to fucking let loose. And it's really like you said, man, I appreciate that because I never think of it that way. I'm just kind of like, I'm just following my instincts here. I'm following my intuition, this inner guide that has always pointed me in the right direction when I'm willing to listen to it. But yeah, yoga is something that really speaks to me. My mom is a yoga therapist. I mean, master body worker, healer. Yoga has really become like our lineage as far as healing, especially on my mom's side. Like as a family, it's kind of the philosophy we live by. Grew up with Ganesh all over the
Mm.
house. Like I said, when we were
Oh
leaving
yeah.
our place, you guys have that great little painting of Ganesh. So yeah, it's just something that I love and I get it. Like when I think it was around COVID, I was I had been doing a lot of Bikram yoga, which is super. Bikram is such a great methodology for me, great sect of yoga, if you will, because it's very disciplinarian, militant.
Mm.
So it's got this real masculine edge. You're in the heat. It's 90 minutes. It's hard as fuck. It's a program, it's a system. So I'd been going to this studio down the street from where I lived in California for a while, and the owner said, "You should do the teacher training. It's coming up." I was like, "Nah, no way." But after thinking about it for a day, I think all of a sudden I was like, I don't think anything's made more sense in my life than to do that teacher training. So I did it super intense. This was like a true teacher training. I mean, not to talk down on a lot of teacher trainings are like you come for a weekend, there's like a talk one day a week. This was every day for 6 weeks, yoga 2 to 3 times a day, learning the
Wow.
diet. It was intense.
Wow.
And I think it totally changed everything for me in my life after football. It was kind of a missing piece, something that I could apply for myself and be of service in a way that really fills me up. Like I said, I get it, I understand it. So yeah, yoga has been a big part of it, but going back to, trying to kind of close the loop on what you were saying, I think it's really important that we understand, like, what do I need? What do I need to feel grounded? What do I need to feel
Yeah.
balanced? I think for me, that's the ultimate desire for my day to day sense of well being. I want to feel balanced and I want to feel like I have a capacity to withstand, endure, respond to anything that
Mm.
comes up. And when I don't do those things, take care of my body, take care of my mind, eat well, nourish myself properly, I feel like I'm already starting off in the basement,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah,
As a father,
yeah,
as a man, very often, and I'll speak for myself, I get caught up in kind of the martyrdom, which is the least masculine thing I could do, right? Or the it's the opposite of how I want to model to my boys how how you can be,
yeah,
right? Where I get caught up in like all the shit I got to do and do everything for everyone else, do everything for everyone else. Like at work, I got to rush out to cook for other people, right?
yeah,
So I'm skipping my work, whatever it is, like all that stuff, right? And I'm bring this up in relationship because we're with your lineage, with the line, because we've kind of covered your lineage and where you come from, a lot of your stuff and why you're here. For you personally, for me personally, and I think collectively as men, as fathers, as husbands, I had the gift of cooking for your wedding a few weeks back,
yeah.
which was
It's the
such a
best.
blessing, witnessing the love between you and your wife. Where do you think we're at as men with how we're showing up? Because I feel like we're trying to navigate this world having been programmed in certain ways and kind of emasculated in a lot of ways
Yeah,
by our culture, right? And we don't really, I'll speak for myself, I don't really know how I'm supposed to be exactly. I don't really know how to navigate fatherhood with grace. I wasn't taught that, right? So I am unconsciously, although now I'm very conscious of it, repeating the patterns of my own father, right? And I'm unpacking that. But those triggers are super powerful, just repeating the same stuff, right? Where are you at with that? And I'm curious because you're the dad of a girl,
yeah.
right? Which was one of my dreams. I thought I was gonna like, I thought it was gonna be easier in a way. Like this, I feel like is the challenge I needed in life, having these two
Two
twos,
boys. Yeah,
right? And so my shit, like they're talking about a mirror, is like right reflected on me every day, right? And of
yeah,
course, the universe has conspired with me, right, to have my amazing wife
yeah,
that forces me, and our dynamic, forces me to grow up.
yeah,
And I'm going through that every day. Where are you at with, and I'll accentuate because you come across as kind of the exemplary figure of a dad and a husband that I would yearn to be.
wow.
But what is your inner world like? And what is your inner voice like? Like, are you proud of the guy you're at now?
Yeah, super proud of the man that I am today. Wasn't always the case, dude. I think that as men, like you said, we're in such a this is the perfect moment to be a man because there's so much grist for the mill, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we're on the postmodern edge of the feminist movement where women have really made themselves known and the culture has made it known how important it is to recognize women as equals to men. Good, bad, indifferent. There's a million. We could take that in a whole
Mm.
into a whole other conversation. So whatever you feel about that, it's not really important. What is important is where we're at culturally with that. In with that the rise of that, or maybe at the crescendo that we're at. But I feel like we're kind of turning the wheel is turning to another place in that as well, where men are shaming men. You're a piece of shit just for being a man. How dare you be anything?
Yeah.
I felt all of that. I felt all of that stuff. And what's interesting for me is as a football player, really I was doing a pod yesterday with a guy, and I was I've been thinking that lately, like I'm so glad part of my journey has been I went totally broke after my NFL career. Like I had to start from zero, dude. And for the first time, like this week, I thought, God, I'm so glad I went broke. Cause I was a fucking barbarian, dude. Like, I don't know if I'd be alive today. Like if I had that money and just kept living that life that I was living, I don't know if I'd be alive. And as that barbarian, I was loud, I was boisterous, I was fucking an egomaniac. I was like I was a Viking warlord, dude, you know? And all the good and the bad that comes with that. You know, I wanted to conquer the world. That's how I walked and talked. Fuck everybody if they don't like it. And you know, first, I God willing, God conspiring with me, I found myself in a handful of relationships where I had that reflected back at me harshly, like being put down for that way of being. Like, who the fuck do you think you are, dude? And having my ass kicked being that guy. Which coming out of my football career, then I don't even have this cloak of glory of I'm a guy, I'm this important guy
Yeah.
anymore. Everybody's like, what's wrong with you, dude? Why aren't you still playing? And I'm like, what? So then I'm really cut down to size. So then there was this moment coming out of my football career where I was like, I was on the other end of the spectrum, quiet as a mouse, totally ashamed of myself, super self-conscious, very wary of how I spoke, how I carried myself. When I entered a room, how did people feel about me? Let me like make everybody feel okay. My, family member of an alcoholic codependency shit just came flying to the surface. Like, everybody else okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know. But in doing that, I realized like I'm half the man. I'm not even half the man I can be.
Mm.
And trying to bury that barbarian like far out in the desert where nobody could ever find him. Kill him, bury him, put him away somewhere.
Mm. Mm.
But then I realized, dude, that's part of me too. You know, like that king, that fucking king energy. Let's bring some of that shit back, dude.
Yeah.
And the last few years of reconciling that and recognizing, you know what? That energy, that fire of I'm here to conquer the world. You can conquer the world in love, dude,
Yeah.
you know? And that's really what I've brought back from that guy. Like I've taken that guy, I've brought the barbarian back, the Viking warlord. I've been like, dude, come on back. You're part of this, man. Without you, I can't really be the man that I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But you can't be in the driver's seat, you know? But if I'm gonna be the fucking the mountain of a man, the dude that men and women look at and go, that's the motherfucker right there. I got to have that guy
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah.
And so it's been a very interesting journey of having my ass kicked, being the barbarian, who walks into a room and I mean, dude, there's a story like I was back at college with one of my teammates. This is during my NFL career, and we were at this fucking bar called Dirt Bags in Tucson. Got these giant beers. And me and my buddy, I'm 6'6", 320. He's 6'7", 350. We're walking around the bar, dude, smashing our beer mugs into like little frat dudes' beer mugs and shattering them in the bar. And like roaring with laughter and chugging the beer and like going on to the next thing. Like
Jeez.
it was just like, dude, who are these guys?
Yeah.
But so like, okay, it's all right, brother. We don't need to do that stuff anymore. But people really, I deserve to come because without the archetype of that, I'm missing passion.
Yeah.
Like I'm missing fire. And I think that's really as men what we need to tap back into and bring it in. It's not like bringing it in like leashed up either. It's like recognizing all the good
Yeah.
that's in that warrior, protector, king,
Mm-hmm.
bringing that into the humble masculine
Yeah.
and letting them blend together and let that be the full expression of your being because That's needed, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we need leaders, man.
Yeah.
We need the torchbearers.
Yeah.
We need the guy like you who's willing to stand up in the face of corruption and go, this is not right.
Yeah.
Without the barbarian, dude, nobody does that, you know?
And well, your example is the world is yearning for us to integrate.
Yes. Yes.
Clearly you are, not that you have arrived.
No.
Just like you were saying, like this
Yeah.
is a journey,
Yeah.
a river, or the wheel is valid, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had this negative connotation of the hamster wheel. I suppose that's life, right?
Yeah.
Where are we going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? So the world needs more integrated men
Yeah.
or integrated women, whatever. And I'm not here, by the way, to shame anyone's belief about gender. And like, I've got my, like, look, like, however someone is really self-actualizing in their life, right? I'm not here to judge anyone.
No doubt.
No matter what, I think we all have feminine and masculine energies.
No doubt.
And that's a whole nother pod.
Probably
a whole nother, like,
another episode.
100 episodes. It's funny, I'm laughing at myself because it's hard to imagine the guy pounding beers and that yet it's not. Same time. Like, I can see that, right? And I can see that role of protector in you. That was the role you played on the field. That demanded like that ferocity and that Viking warrior, but also deep love. And it sounds cheesy, but like love of your dudes, like your quarterback.
I mean, that might be the best synopsis of offensive line anyone's ever given.
I mean,
honestly.
And as a lover of sport, like I find beauty in that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so here we are. You're here on your line. I'm here on my line. I'm starting this pod to explore just this, like to become a more integrated man myself, because I've been putting off this project for years.
Yeah.
Like, I have a big mouth. There's a lot I want to say, and there's a lot I want to listen to and learn from and integrate together with people that I find inspiring. And I've always found you so damn inspiring. How are you going to move forward and help others? And what are you working on to help others kind of follow the similar path that you've been on?
Well, something I didn't really get to finish this thought, so I felt like I just was like, there's so much I want to say and so many good directions we're going in. But, you know, one thing I'm doing right now, part of this expansive place that I'm in my life and really changing the paradigm for myself and my lineage for 1,000 years from now, where people look at the Britons and go, those motherfuckers get it done. You know, those people are inspiring. Is I'm just all that stuff, like you're saying, like you started this podcast, dude. It's so perfect, because for me, that's what it's about right now. Like, not giving in to any woe is me. I'm the martyr. Dude, fuck it. Put it on the calendar, bro. Let's get it done. Let's lock it in. Let's do it. So for me, I want to do more and more in-person events where I'm teaching breathwork and yoga and turning people on to these practices that, for me, really, it's like, you know, so much of the Instagram social media phenomenon age that we're in, it preaches this outside in approach. If you do this, then you get that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, dude. That's not what this is. If you start working these practices, meditation, breath work, starting a fitness program, whatever it is, something within a structure, it starts to give you this psychic touchstone, this landmark of where you want to go in your life. For me, it's like more quiet, more peace, more stillness, more balance. Breath work, meditation, yoga, even exercise. It provides me with this touchstone, this psychic landmark where I get to taste that. And the more and more I taste it, I start to bring that frequency into my life, you know? So doing in-person events, I got one coming up June 13th in Wimberley at our local gym. We're doing a strength workout with the guy who owns the gym, Michael. He's amazing. Then from there, I'm going to take everybody through breath work, yoga, and we're going to jump in the ice tubs.
Oh, amazing.
It's going to be super fun. Like, it's what I love to do, dude. And it's one of those things like, let me follow what I love doing. This is what I love doing. I love being with people. I love sharing these things that have been so impactful in my life because I know the more you taste that, the more clarity you gain in building the vision of where you want to go in your life.
Mm.
So I'm doing more in-person events starting June 13th in Wimberley. I'll have the link so you can share that with people. And then I'm launching my online course, The Athlete's Approach, which is really everything that's in my book. These super simple, applicable practices, breath work, meditation, how to move. I'm a big advocate, dude. We talked a lot about movement, my own relationship with it. Like, you don't need to be an Olympian or a bodybuilder to have great fitness and to feel great in your body,
Mm.
you know? It can be really simple. It can be as simple as taking a good walk every day. Like, that's transformative, so giving people the tools to build the life that they want. So movement, nutrition, super basic principles. We didn't get to talk about it much. We'll have to do a part two where we get more into food.
For sure. I think we need part 3, 4, and 5,
Yeah,
and 6 also.
yeah. But, so the athlete's approach, how to live like a pro, it's taking everything I've learned, that's the failures, the successes, boiled it down to what works best, put it all into this course. It's going to be an epic online community. We'll have monthly calls, ton of incredible virtual lessons. It's basically everything I've been working on for the last 10 years, put in a really beautiful package and offered to people in a really affordable
So
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. I know it's going to be rad.
Yeah.
I
I'm
want in.
stoked about it,
It's
man.
amazing.
Yeah.
Evan, yeah, seriously, we could talk for hours.
Yeah,
I could
dude.
talk for hours. I could just be in your presence for hours.
Thanks,
I
man.
always relish it. I
Me
really
too,
do.
brother.
I look forward to more. So, do you want to just leave people and share your website or share your Instagram so
Yeah.
people can follow along?
Yeah. Everything that I do, the hub is really on Instagram at EDS Britton. Stay tuned for the athlete's approach. The wait list will open around June 8th, but you'll be able to keep up with all that on my Instagram.
And is your book still alive?
Oh, yeah.
People still get the
My
book?
book is always available on Amazon, The Ebb and Flow, Basic Tools to Transform Your Life.
It's an incredible read. It really is.
Thanks, dude.
I read it under the stars with a little like camping light on a river in
Yes.
Idaho. And still, honestly, like those were some of the best weeks.
Yeah,
Those
dude.
2 summers that we
It
spent.
was so
It
fun.
was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Evan. Thank you so much for sharing
Thank
your
you,
world
brother.
and your beautiful essence. And I look forward to the next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, everyone. If this episode meant something to you, please share it with someone that you love. It really means a lot to move the needle in someone's life to inspire them. You can find everything we talked about in the show notes, and I hope you'll come join me in my What Feeds Us community on Substack, where I can help take the decisions off your plate as I provide weekly prep ideas, recipes, community, and so much more. So until next time, this is Chef Aaron with Unprocessed.